So you want to be a sports creative. Maybe you're picking up a camera for the first time. Maybe you've seen some of the fantastic content from people in the industry and you want to learn more. Maybe you're a veteran of the space and are wondering why on earth I am chiming in on such a topic. No matter which camp you fall into, buckle up. I have a lot of things I want to talk about, and I have it on good authority that I don't have a lot of time to capture your attention, so we're going to move pretty fast. There's a lot of people who want to work in sports. For many, it's a dream job that has a ton of perks, including being able to shoot their favorite sports team for a living, not be in an office all day, and even becoming a social media influencer. All of these things have their appeals. But working in sports isn't all fun and games. There's plenty of pitfalls, not limited to creative burnout, the sacrifice of nights, weekends, holidays, all while, in some cases, not making a ton of money. But you shouldn't take my word from this. I'm just one person, which is why I reached out to my friends in the sports industry to help give them more well-rounded insights into their journey to becoming sports professionals. As of this recording, almost 150 people took valuable time out of their days to fill out my survey, for which I am incredibly thankful. For anyone watching who didn't have a chance to fill out the survey and wants to share their journey with those trying to break into the industry, please send me a DM. I'd love to hear about how you got to where you are, and I'm sure the younger creatives would as well. These creatives have worked with some of the biggest teams, leagues, conferences, both collegiately, professionally. Almost half of them are videographers, with the others making up a mix of everything from graphic designers to social media managers. The majority of people who have taken the survey so far have 3 to 6 years of experience, with another 30% making up 7 to 9 years. Overall, a good mixture of younger creatives and more seasoned vets. The first thing I wanted to know from this group is, how did they get their start? I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that in order to work in the sports creative field, you had to have majored in something creative or worked for an athletic department in college. Obviously, it doesn't hurt if you can get involved early, but nearly 40% of our surveyed creatives didn't major in a relevant field, and over 30% weren't even creative interns in college. So how did they get their foot in the door? Was it luck? Was it social media? Was it a nicely worded Venmo? Well, I'm glad you asked. The majority of them reported either a personal connection or regular application as a source of their initial opportunity. This brings me to a recurring theme that I believe will be clear as we start to go through this. Networking is important. True in life, true in social settings, true in the sports creative world. The sports sphere is incredibly small and tight-knit. There may be internal drama sometimes, and spreadsheets like this may pop up from time to time, or even this meme, but that's neither here nor there. What's more important is that there are sports creatives out there who make fantastic, instructive content for a younger crowd, and most creators are more than willing to share their story or give feedback when approached. Reach out, set up informal chats to learn about how they create. Everyone in this industry was once on the outside looking in, and there are so many incredible sources of knowledge to tap into. Once you do get your foot in the door, hours and work-life balance are important things to keep in mind. At the beginning, I mentioned that sports creatives work a lot. Nearly 15% of this group said they fall within the 60 to 70 hour range on average per week, with over 85% working more than 40 hours a week. This can be from a combination of factors. Sports games and events often happen in the evenings or weekends, which increase the amount of days that creatives are expected to work. At the college team level, creatives, although this admittedly may be changing soon, have to deal with recruiting and all the official, unofficial visits, graphics, photo shoots, not to mention the late nights and early mornings that often come with attempting to finish projects or turn around creative for clients, coaches, teams, brands, etc. This massive lift can reduce people's work-life balance, and when asked, 40% of those surveyed fell right in the middle of the work-life balance, with 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. I don't say any of this to scare off any young creators, more so just to warn them of some of the shortcomings that other creatives in this industry have dealt with. One of my inspirations when getting into content creation was a man who likely needs no introduction, Casey Neistat. When Casey answered a question about what his favorite camera was in this video from Wired in late 2023, he said this:
"Whatever's at arm's length is my favorite camera in that moment."
And it's a sentiment that I think can be applied to the sports creative world as a whole. I think sometimes we get caught up in the biggest, brightest, the flashiest, the newest things, instead of just focusing on creating with what we have. With that being said, this is a list of things that I would recommend every young creative get before starting into this field. Obviously, you have your Red Cinema Raptor XLs, you have your Alexa RELF basic camera sets, you have your Chimera F2X light bank. If you can get two, that'd be fantastic. A few RE Signature Primes, maybe some Nike Air Yeezy 2 Red Octobers. We can't be looking like scrubs. Maybe some Zeiss Prime Radiant Diamond lens sets, some Shure ULX 4D DQ 8-channel wireless. You can read the board, or of course a Ronin 4D 8K combo kit. Of course, I'm kidding. Obviously, I think as long as you have a story you want to tell, some curiosity, a willingness to fail and try again, and big dreams, I think you'll be set up for success. No matter if you're creating sports content, lifestyle content, any type of creative content, I think these are the 4 things that you really want to get started. So where do you need to start? For 55% of these creators, they said that they owned some equipment before they started creating, but to me, the more interesting number is that 45% that didn't own their equipment. If you're a young creative out there who feels that what is stopping you from creating is a lack of cameras, lenses, lighting, other equipment, I think you're focusing on the wrong thing. There will always be a piece of gear that you don't have. There will always be something out there that could help you on your current project. But also, I'm sure that there are projects that you can create right now with your current resources. The creators I asked were pretty evenly split on how they learned to create, and I use quotes because learning obviously looks different for everyone. And of course, really the answer is a combination of a bunch of different factors. But according to nearly 150 professional creatives, they learn through YouTube and by going out and doing. It seems obvious, but I think it's such a big roadblock for so many creatives. I can come up with hundreds, thousands of reasons why I should put off creating these videos as pieces of content to another day. But in order to get better, all I need to do is just start creating. When asking yourself what to create, I think we should look to where the pros are currently looking. Where do you look for inspiration? How do you find your ideas? As you can see, it's pretty evenly split, but about 75% of these sports creatives look to brands, teams, or individual creatives for their sources of inspiration. I use other sources of creatives as a source for inspiration constantly. If I see something that someone did that I think that I can adapt to my own style, I'm absolutely going to try and find a way to do that. This whole concept was actually wholly inspired by a YouTube video I saw about being successful as a streamer. Most creatives are seeking out sports content on a daily basis. If this is a world that you want to get involved in, immersing yourself in different brands, teams, creatives is only going to help you learn, evolve, and find the different types of content that can help you find your own style. I wanted to find out how much time these creatives were spending planning their pieces of content. Of course, for the most of them, almost 60%, they said it depends on the project. But nearly a third of responders said that they don't take any time to plan out their content. If you're a young creative that feels sort of that creative paralysis when looking at other people's content, or maybe you think that your ideas and executions need to be perfect before you post, take a look at this chart. 1/3 of these creatives are making up stuff on a whim, and we can use that creation to learn and grow. So even if you're not 100% fully fleshed out, like locked in perfection on an idea, open up Photoshop, boot up that content calendar, open up TikTok, CapCut, Premiere, Final Cut, DaVinci, Resolve, whatever you have, and let's see what we can create. I had to make this chart larger. Look at this. Many, many successful creatives who I asked, and I think will continue to fill out this survey. 94% of them either have self-proclaimed, not gone viral, or said it took many, many posts. Virality in the internet is a tricky thing. Fame, fortune, and success, it usually doesn't happen overnight, except for the lucky 7% in the survey, of which I applaud and congratulate. But if your first, second, third, or 300th videos or graphics don't get noticed, or don't land you a job working at the biggest brands or for the biggest teams, don't be discouraged. I have made plenty of content that is atrocious before I worked in sports full time, during my time in sports, and I'm confident that my awful ideas will continue far into the future. But what about everything else? Comparing your work to other people is inevitable. However, I think looking at this and seeing 75% of the sports creative asked said that they do struggle with imposter syndrome should say a few things. To me, it says that even the most established creatives, some of whom who have been in this world for over 10 years, still can struggle with feeling like they are imposters to the space, or maybe that they aren't good enough. However, these years of experience from all these creatives have come up with 3 pieces of advice that I heard pop up again and again when I asked them to write out how they battle this on a weekly, daily, yearly, whenever they struggle with this imposter syndrome. So what do? Number 1, they say that you should embrace individuality. You should understand that your creative style and your personality is as unique as it is diverse. You should remember why you started creating in the first place, and when it comes down to it, be authentic. Be you, and that will push through, that'll come through in all of the content that you create. Remember that everyone has their own individual journey that happens at all stages of life. Not everyone starts at the same place at the same time. And the world will continue to spin, no matter how our content performs. That's something that I think just that kind of perspective can help you potentially push through some creative blocks. They also say that you should focus on personal growth. Remember that no one starts at an expert level. Attitude plays a massive role in development. That willingness to make mistakes, but also then use those mistakes to learn and help us grow and push forward into our next piece is invaluable. You want to emphasize progress over perfection. Instead of comparing every painting or piece of content or graphic or social media post against the Van Goghs or the best in the world, let's compare it against ourselves. Yesterday, a month ago, when we first started, and make sure that we equally celebrate our growth as we tend to do when we criticize our mistakes. Third, and finally, let's seek support. You're not in this alone. I think reach out to your peers, your friends, your mentors for feedback. Realize that everyone faces similar challenges. 95 people, more than that now, have taken this survey, told me that they struggled with imposter syndrome. But we can acknowledge that feeling and use it as motivation, whether that is within our community or within our small friend group or community at large. My final question of the survey was originally give one word of advice to creators wanting to get into the sports world, because what I wanted to do was create a cute little word cloud that would show off all the words at once. Instead, people gave me far better and far more detailed answers, and more sincere ones than I could have ever hoped for. There were so many pieces of advice that I could have spent this entire video plus an additional 30 minutes just reading them. Each and every one of them, they are fantastic. I will leave a link to the full list for pieces of advice for both imposter syndrome and just general tips and tricks to get into this space, somewhere around wherever you're seeing this video. But I've attempted to sum up what a lot of them said into bite-sized pieces, which we run through here. And I want to highlight a few of them that kind of most stuck out to me, but we're going to go through all of them, all of the bite-sized nuggets first and foremost. So, trust your instincts. Document everything. Value your connections. Respect your job. Avoid comparison. Embrace versatility. The work-life balance. Persistence. Network intelligently. Start small, dream big. Value the soft skills. Passion over clout. Actively seek opportunity. Learn continuously. Leave the ego at the door. Connect and learn. Embrace failure and growth. And finally, be authentic. The 3 bolded skills, or the 3 bolded pieces of advice, are the ones that I wanted to touch on a little bit more. The first one, network intelligently. I know that networking can feel like a buzzword, and I've said it a lot, even during this little short piece that I'm making here. But it really is an important skill. It's not just a word, it's a skill. It's something that you can practice and get better at. Not only for building connections in these networks, but turning them into relationships, where you are someone that people want to work with, that they will reach out to for work and refer you to others. Networking is so important in this world. Starting small, dream big. Start small. Control what you can control. If it's your dream to shoot the FIFA World Cup final, that's a big dream. Let's start small, and let's begin with the small steps. Let's practice daily. Let's actively seek growth, whether that's in your network, whether that's in your content creation skills. Every opportunity, no matter how small, is one step further and one step closer to reaching your goals. And finally, embracing failure and growth. Failure is going to happen. It's a part of everyone's journey at some point or another. Keep learning, creating, and evolving to find your potential. So these are 19, I think, 18 or 19 pieces of advice that creatives have summed up. Again, I will leave a link to a full list of them somewhere around where this video is. And so that's all I have. These are just 4 more graphs that I think could be useful data for you here. I'll move myself out of the way here a little bit, but these are 4 more graphs that I think could be important if you want to know about how often they post their work, what platform should I post my work on, which do you use to showcase your work, and what is the top metric you use to judge when pieces are successful. Again, like there's so much more data and information that we can suss out or synthesize from, I should say, this fantastic survey that all these lovely people filled out. But that's all I have for now.